The name Riley Cavanaugh once resonated with the thrill of literary success, the youngest writer to premiere on the New York's bestsellers list. But for 13 years, his name has been synonymous with tragedy, a chilling mystery shrouded in silence. On the night of September 24, 1999, a woman named Leslie Ann Martin, reportedly obsessed with Cavanaugh, broke into his Maple Grove home. She murdered his wife Melanie, and it's believed their 2-year-old son Mason. Leslie then waited for Riley to return from a book tour, shot him in the head, and left him for dead. Now, as the 13th anniversary approaches, there's still no trace of young Mason, and Leslie Ann Martin hasn't uttered a single word since her arrest. This unsolved case, as Sally Michelson reported for Channel 4 News, continued to haunt the public imagination. My first book, Riley, was nominated for a major award right before this happened. For Samantha Phillips, a young therapist, the constant re-airing of the story was a familiar backdrop to her life. Her coworker and best friend, Ashley Weathers, expressed frustration, wondering why the news still ran it. Samantha understood. Stories like this, with a missing child, rarely faded until answers were found. But a deeper, personal unease stirred when her boss, Richard Bateman, called her into his office. He had a new patient for her, a male, which immediately put Samantha on edge due to a traumatic past she rarely spoke of, involving her adoptive father, Matthew Phillips. After 5 years, she still had nightmares, making her wary of men, with only Richard, who shared a similar childhood experience, earning her trust. Richard explained the patient was 36, lived on the outskirts of town, and had become a recluse and agoraphobic after a horrible trauma years ago. He only trusted one family member. Holding the file to her chest, Samantha retreated to her office, her heart pounding with a premonition. When she opened the file, the name caused her to freeze, Riley Cavanaugh. Of all the men in the world, it had to be him. This was going to be a disaster, she mumbled, subconsciously chewing her lip. That night, Samantha's unease manifested in a chilling dream. She found herself in an unfamiliar child's bedroom, a sense of déjà vu washing over her. The sound of splashing water drew her into a dark hallway, towards a partly open door. Fear and dread filled her as she approached. A woman hummed a child's song, her voice terrifying. Samantha pushed the door open to a horrifying sight. A woman, covered in blood, holding a young girl's head under bathtub water. The woman's eyes were blank, unseeing. Samantha closed her eyes, trying to erase the image, but when she opened them again, she wasn't watching the scene. She was the little girl, trapped in the tub. She woke with a scream dying in her throat, back in her own apartment, the sun just beginning to lighten the sky. 5:23 a.m. She hated that memory. The next morning, after a quick breakfast and dressing in dark blue jeans and a red sweater, Samantha felt a mix of determination and nerves. She set off in her red Mini Cooper, relying on GPS to navigate to Riley's remote residence. The drive led her up a dirt road to a massive iron gate. When she pushed the intercom button, a gruff, annoyed male voice, unmistakably Riley's, questioned her age and purpose. Samantha, irritated but composed, asserted her 23 years and qualifications. The gate eventually opened, revealing a curved path lined with trees that ended at a Gothic-style house, a structure she thought belonged in a horror movie. An older man, Robert, Riley's uncle, greeted her with a warm voice that immediately put Samantha at ease. He led her to Riley's study, a room filled floor-to-ceiling with books ranging from Shakespeare to Stephen King, a collection that left Samantha awestruck. Distracted by the literary treasures, she didn't hear Robert leave. Then a rough, gravelly voice broke the silence. "What do the books tell you about me?" She spun around to face Riley Cavanaugh himself. After introductions, she apologized for her awe, attributing it to the sheer size of his collection. He responded with a dry wit, saying he'd had a lot of time on his hands to acquire them. When he asked if she always apologized so much, Samantha explained this was her first in-home patient session. Riley, observing her, asked if she'd been a therapist for a week. Samantha, certified for almost 3 years, sat down, sensing his discomfort mirrored her own. Riley opened up, sharing his longing for travel, a freedom his agoraphobia had stolen. Samantha, asking if he missed it, immediately regretted the question, but Riley acknowledged that most therapists hadn't even bothered. The conversation then took a sharp turn. Samantha, feeling she couldn't do this, prepared to leave. "Is it because of your mother?" Riley asked, his voice cutting. Samantha, apprehensive, questioned what he meant. Riley revealed he ran background checks on everyone who came to his home, and he knew. Leslie Ann Martin was her mother. Samantha's world spun, her vision blurred, and she fainted. Robert rushed in as Riley caught Samantha. He chastised his nephew for confronting her, reminding him Samantha was just a child when Leslie was arrested. When Samantha awoke, her head throbbing, Riley apologized, admitting he wanted to gauge her reaction. But Samantha fiercely denied Leslie as her mother, revealing Leslie had tried to drown her when she was 10, still wearing bloody clothes from the Cavanaugh attack. Riley was stunned, a new empathy dawning as he realized Leslie's actions had ripple effects beyond his own family's pain. Samantha, recognizing the mutual trauma, apologized for bringing up that night, and they continued their session in a new, fragile understanding. Samantha, though hesitant due to her past, found herself observing Riley, a lean man with dark hair, amazing blue-gray eyes, and scars that hinted at a dangerous allure. She suggested he find another therapist, citing her own issues with men, but he wouldn't let her. He revealed his late wife, Melanie, had also been a survivor of abuse, drawing a surprising connection. Their session progressed, covering his literary past and world travels, experiences Samantha, born and raised in Maple Grove, could only dream of. The possibility of Leslie's miscarriage in 1997, the same year Mason was born, emerged as a potential trigger for her psychosis. But Leslie's silence remained an insurmountable barrier to answers about Mason. Just days later, Dr. Alex Johnson from Heavenward Sanitarium called Samantha. Leslie Ann Martin, her biological mother, was in a coma after a suicide attempt. As Leslie's next of kin, Samantha had to make the decision to remove life support. Driven by a complex mix of duty and a desperate need for closure, Samantha visited Heavenward. The sterile, sickly blue environment contrasted sharply with her internal turmoil. Dr. Johnson revealed Leslie hadn't tried to kill herself. She had been drugged with Profil, an anesthetic, making it look like an overdose. Someone wanted Leslie silenced. In Leslie's room, Samantha found a painting of a young girl, her mother, and a young Riley. On a small table lay Leslie's journal. The last entry chilled Samantha. Someone was watching Leslie, trying to kill her because she knew the truth about that little boy and who really killed that woman. Torn pages hinted at missing information. Then Leslie's eyes fluttered open. Unable to speak, she communicated by writing. "I'm so sorry for everything," she scrawled. Then, "She isn't who she says she is. Save the boy. You must reunite him with his father. Yes, he is not safe with that woman." Leslie confessed she saw them go to the Cavanaugh house, tried to stop them, and witnessed Melanie's death and Riley being shot. She didn't use a gun. And finally, a heartbroken apology for trying to drown Samantha that night, attributing it to her illness. Leslie's heartbeat flatlined, and she died. The news of Leslie Ann Martin's death spread quickly. Armed with Leslie's journal, Samantha rushed to Riley's. Robert was there, initially angry at what he saw as false hope, but Riley, reading the journal, was stunned. Leslie wasn't the killer. There were missing pages, a broader conspiracy. Riley led Samantha to a private, sunlit room overlooking a rose garden and a vast hedge maze. As they discussed the shocking revelations, the emotional tension between them escalated. Riley pulled her close, kissing her with a desperate intensity. "Tell me what you want," he demanded. "You," Samantha breathed, undeniable in her desire. But Robert interrupted them again, walking in on their passionate embrace, and a terrified Samantha fled. The next day at Leslie's funeral, Samantha met her biological grandmother, Charlotte, and her aunt, Natalie. She learned Leslie had been disowned years ago. Later, over lunch with Natalie, Samantha met Jacob, Natalie's 15-year-old son. His eyes, an incredible blue-gray, were uncannily like Riley's, sparking a profound suspicion. Jacob was Mason. The pieces clicked. Later, Richard found the missing pages from Leslie's journal in Samantha's apartment. The pages confirmed Samantha's chilling suspicion. Natalie was Leslie's sister, but an imposter. Natalie and her husband William were the true killers and kidnappers. The original Natalie, Leslie's actual sister, had died years ago, and Danielle Porter had assumed her identity. The danger deepened when Samantha's best friend, Ashley, disappeared. The police dismissed it as Ashley running off with a new boyfriend, but Samantha knew better. Her gut screamed trouble. Her premonition proved tragically true when she returned to her apartment to find Ashley brutally murdered, crucified on her wall. Samantha's world shattered. Richard, worried about her breakdown, took her in. While caring for Samantha, Richard found the full journal pages from Leslie, confirming the terrifying truth. Danielle Porter, posing as Natalie, and her husband William were the ones responsible for Melanie's murder and Mason's kidnapping. They were the ones pulling the strings, tying up loose ends, now targeting Samantha because she was too close to the truth. The conspiracy unraveled. Samantha had shared her growing feelings for Riley with Richard, who, seeing her genuine happiness, took a drastic step. He removed her as Riley's therapist to allow their relationship to develop without ethical conflict, even destroying her case notes to protect her. Riley, desperate for answers about Mason and now concerned for Samantha, pushed Adam, his private detective friend, to investigate Natalie. The file revealed Natalie, Danielle Porter, had been institutionalized in Heavenward after Leslie left, and adoption papers for a 2-year-old boy were found. Samantha remained convinced Jacob was Mason, a conviction that led to a dangerous confrontation. Samantha's car ran out of gas near Riley's house in a storm, forcing her to walk the last few blocks, a vulnerable journey that culminated in a horrifying discovery. Samantha woke up disoriented, tied in Riley's hedge maze. Natalie and William, her captors, were there. Natalie, smug and menacing, confessed to everything, impersonating Leslie's sister, murdering Melanie, kidnapping Mason, and framing Leslie. She confirmed she drugged Leslie. Jacob, Natalie's son, appeared, having overheard the horrifying truth. Samantha, despite her dazed state, told Jacob everything, urging him to trust her. Natalie, enraged, attacked Samantha with a shovel. Meanwhile, Riley, drawn by the commotion and overcome by a sudden surge of protectiveness for Samantha, made a terrifying leap. He stepped outside, succumbing to an immediate crippling panic attack. Samantha, amidst the chaos, slapped him, forcing him to focus. She guided him through the maze, using Robert's hidden knowledge of its traps and secret passages. William attacked Samantha, but Riley, in a defining moment of courage, shot William dead, saving Samantha. The police arrived, summoned by Jacob. Natalie was found, caught in one of Robert's maze traps. In the aftermath, Riley and Jacob finally came face to face, a father and son reunited after 15 years. Riley, no longer a recluse, declared he would never again hide from life. The night, though fraught with terror, culminated in a newfound freedom and hope. In the quiet of the rose garden, Riley and Samantha shared a passionate kiss, their future irrevocably intertwined. 15 years later, Riley Cavanaugh, now a renowned author once more, sat for an interview. He and Samantha were married, expecting a child, and Jacob was thrilled. Riley reflected on how Samantha had brought hope back into his life, how his fear had vanished when he needed to protect her. The truth of Danielle Porter's deception and the original Natalie's murder was finally public, but the story wasn't quite over. In Heavenward Sanitarium, Danielle Porter, still consumed by rage, plotted her revenge. "I'll get my revenge," she mumbled, a strong sedative pulling her into a restless sleep. And a young orderly, Patrick Donovan, revealed himself to be her son, vowing to free her. The dark echo of silent lies lingered. This captivating story will stay with you long after it ends. Please share it with someone who enjoys a gripping tale.